Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back, Daily Boxing News. So at a recent press conference, Turki Al-Sheikh was asked to explain how he's going to avoid these quote-unquote Tom and Jerry fights happening on these Saudi cards. Bear in mind, Turki Al-Sheikh doesn't speak English as his first language, although his English has been improving over the past couple of years. He still doesn't necessarily articulate himself that well in every situation, but my reading of what his answer was is that he's going to be more careful about the stylistic matchups he makes, and presumably he's also not going to bring fighters back who have performed like that once on a Riyadh season card. Like William Skull, for example. Don't give fighters who box that way another opportunity. So presumably he's going to do those two things. But he also said that moving forward, at least for certain fights, he's going to introduce knockout bonuses. And this is something, as I understand it, which he's taken from UFC. Somebody actually mentioned this in a recent live stream, and I think it's a great idea. But it's only really going to work in major fights if the knockout bonus is very substantial. And I mean very, very, very substantial. It might even need to be what? Another 50% of the fighter's purse on top, at least? Because think about it. If a guy is boxing safety first and winning, well, let's say he's getting paid 30 million. If a knockout bonus only gets him an extra 5 million, do you really think he's going to take the risk? Especially if he's in there against the puncher of trying to go for the knockout? I doubt it. You'd have to pay him a much larger percentage of what he's already getting paid in order to incentivize. So unless Turki Al-Sheikh is willing to do that, the knockout bonuses will probably only really work for fighters who are getting paid a lot less. Undercard fighters, fighters who don't yet have a name. Some of them are probably really going to go hell for leather trying to secure that knockout bonus. But I like the idea in principle, and combined with the other measures that Turki Al-Sheikh is saying, hopefully we'll get less of these Mickey Mouse fights. As I said in a video I did previously, it was actually a live stream. I've got no issue whatsoever with Turki Al-Sheikh having some quality control as far as entertainment. People are paying money to watch these Riyadh season cards. Most of them are on pay-per-view. We recently had 2 Riyadh season pay-per-views in the same weekend. When people are shelling out that much money, they want to be entertained. When these events are being promoted the way that they are, as the best thing since sliced bread, they have to deliver. When they don't deliver, when you do get Mickey Mouse fights, it damages boxing. It turns people away from the sport. And for those people acting like Turki Al-Sheikh has got no right to take such measures, I say to those people, what brand of crack are you smoking? He's the one paying for these cards. What are you talking about? In what area of business does an investor shell out hundreds of millions of dollars but have no say about the nature or quality of the product that is produced? What a ridiculous notion. Yes, Turki Al-Sheikh deserves to have a say. Turki Al-Sheikh representing the Saudis because it's their money. And I don't think what he's suggesting is unreasonable at all. Boxing, as I've said in previous videos, has always had reforms over the decades, over the centuries even. Not just with regards to fighter safety, but also with regards to entertainment. The reason that boxing gloves were introduced in the first place is not to protect fighters' faces. No, it was to protect fighters' hands so that they could throw more punches and the fights could be more entertaining for longer. Back in the bare knuckle days when guys were fighting a ridiculous number of rounds, the pace of those fights was very slow because the guys had to preserve their knuckles. And after a couple rounds, the knuckles get damaged. So the pace is even slower then. Boxing gloves were introduced because it allowed fighters to throw more punches and made things more entertaining. Now, obviously, bare knuckle has made a comeback, and they also have reformed the format. It's no longer a crazy number of rounds in bare knuckle. So as I say, there have always been reforms in Queensberry rules, boxing, and there have always been reformers. And Turki Al-Sheikh is hoping to make some type of relatively minor reform, and it's a good one. At no point did he say that every fight must be rock'em sock'em robots. This is people putting words into his mouth. He made the comments he made off the back of Canelo versus Skull and Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia and even Teofimo Lopez's performances on the Times Square card. That's the context within which he made those comments. There is a difference between boxing and running. There's nothing wrong with moving around the ring as long as you're throwing enough punches, as long as you're trying to do damage. That's called boxing. Running is when you're excessively moving and you're throwing don't hit me punches rather than shots that are designed to damage the opponent. And when you are very low volume in that particular mode, that's unforgivable as far as I'm concerned. Again, William's skull being Exhibit A. So let's see how well Turkey can implement this on these Riyadh Season and Ring Magazine cards. But I think it's a good idea. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm out.